This was always part of the plan. The neck blank wasn't massively thick, and I want the part that glues into the guitar to be a little bit thicker, so I'm just adding an extra layer there of matai, which is the main timber that the neck is made from. I've been racing through this build somewhat, because all these intermediate steps here you've seen, you know, like radiusing the fretboard and putting the frets in. I need some more fret wire. But what I've just done is, well, I've done today anyway, not just now, is routed the neck pocket in with a slight back angle. And the way that I did that is by clamping down a board there and screwing on a long base to my router and routing like so, resting the long base on that board. When I got close to the right depth, I would get the bridge and sit it on here. This is a nice bridge, by the way. It's a Wilkinson Tunematic wraparound style bridge. And just check how we were going for depth. I've got up to the final depth now, I think. Well, I'm quite sure I have because I've checked it a few times. So when I sit the bridge at the nominal scale length of 24 3/4 inches, which is what I'm using on this guitar, I'll use this straight piece of wood to represent the strings and take into account the fact that the bridge will sit a couple of millimeters higher than that because it'll be sitting on the studs, which are not in there just yet. That's going to be a nice action. Maybe ever so slightly low, but I can adjust the bridge up. I just can't adjust it down from where it's currently sitting. Do I want to go a couple of millimeters deeper? I might actually just file, that's what I'll do. I'll just file maybe another millimeter into that pocket, maybe. Now I think I'll be okay actually. I'm pretty sure I will be okay. With the studs and another couple of millimeters of adjustment, that will be fine. Great. I will do a little bit of sanding where the neck meets the body there, just to feather that and make that transition nice and smooth. And I will also have to cut out a chunk on the neck where it intrudes into the pickup cavity. Yeah. So the guitar that is not a Mockingbird is progressing. I guess what I'm going to do here is just verbalize some of my internal steps so you can see the process that I'm going through. So here's where I want to go with this guitar. I'm going to apply a grain fill to the top. I'll apply a grain fill to the back as well. That'll be a dark grain fill because I'm going to be seeing it through the clear coats. But before I paint the top, I want the post holes for the bridge to be drilled in. That seems like something I would want. And before I put the holes for the bridge in, I want the neck position to be finalized. And I think, I've got it measured out now, but the best way to be sure that your bridge holes are in the right place is to drill them in when the neck is in. So you can measure it off the neck. So I want my neck to be installed. And in order for the neck to be installed, there are some things that I want to do first, like level and crown, well, not necessarily crown, but certainly level the frets and dress the fret ends, because dressing the fret ends, well, you can do it with the neck in, but you've got a little bit less freedom and there is some risk that I might scratch the guitar, and I don't want to do that. So it would be best if the next step that I go to is finishing off the neck, basically. Dressing the leveling the frets, dressing the ends. I can crown them fairly easily with the neck in, but I'll at least do those steps and then carve the neck and glue it in. Yeah, so let's get busy with the neck. The two measures of fret ends is, number one, they look okay. They look nice. And even more importantly, they feel okay, because this is going to be the bottom edge of the fretboard. My fingers are going to be, or whoever's playing the guitar, their fingers are going to be moving along there, and they want it to be nice and smooth and not sharp and pointy, and that feels good. Okay, so all I've got to do now is crown the frets. I say all I've got to do. Crowning is actually the most time-consuming part of fretting. Crown the frets. Well, crowning and polishing anyway. Crown them, polish them, carve the neck, and glue the neck in. I figured I may as well go ahead and crown and polish them before I've got the fretboard on, because I'm on a roll with this fretting, so let's just press ahead, shall we? I've just crowned and polished the frets, and I'm really pleased that I started doing it this way when I polished the frets. After I've done all the filing and sanding, I put a buffing wheel on an electric hand drill, and I use auto cutting compound and polish both the frets and the fretboard. And that's so shiny, it looks almost lacquered, but it's not. That's just the wood. So it's not perfect. You can see some areas where I'm going to do some finer shaping now, but the rough carve of the neck is done. Now I need to put the side dots into the fretboard. Over here at the drill press, although I'm not going to use the drill press because the little drill bit that I'm going to be using is just too small to go into the chuck of this drill press. So I'm going to try out my new battery powered drill. Oh, and you know what I haven't done? What I'm doing is using a pick to put in indentations before I drill to help me get things in the right place, and I haven't done them all yet. There are 24 frets. I've put double dots at the 12th fret. I'm not putting double dots at the 24th fret. It's just a little bit cramped up there, so one dot will do. like my new toy. Right, now to fill these holes. I don't know how everyone else does this, but this is how I'm doing it. So there's a little cap full of acetone there. Now I have to be careful not to spill the bottle because the cap is off. And I'm using black plastic rod as my side dot marker material. That'll just squeeze in super tight, but once you've dipped it in acetone, it'll squeeze in a little better because the surface is soft and dissolving. And sticking itself to its new home in the binding, like so. And later I will carefully cut that flush with the surface and scrape it nice and smooth. All right, so there you go. If you do use this method and you buy these rods from eBay, one rod will do the whole fretboard of a 24 fret neck. Now, I could just wait for that to dry a bit more and then trim them and scrape them off. But as it turns out, in addition to having a day job and building guitars, I'm also a student working towards a psychology degree, and I have an assignment to work on. So I'm going to come back to this sometime later in the week and finish off those dots and tidy them up. When I glue the neck in, I will lose a bit of freedom when it comes to shaping the body, namely the parts of the body right around the neck joint, because I just won't have the same amount of access. So before I take that leap, I'm going to do a little bit more shaping here. I would once try to avoid all squeeze out, or glue squeeze out in a joint like this, but now I'm just going to allow a bit of squeeze out, and while it's still wet, I'll use a wet rag to clean it up. Because having squeeze out just means that you've got glue all the way to the edge of the joint, which is really what you want. I forget whether I've mentioned this before, but as a clamping call on necks when the frets are in, I've taken to using a cork sanding block because it's soft enough that it's not going to do any damage, but solid enough that you can get a decent clamp with it. Right. I won't do any more work on this today, but I'll just come back tonight and check on this and remove the clamp. I think we're looking pretty good. So I've kind of been rushing through this video a little bit, just getting through all the, not boring, but you know, the steps that you've seen a million times if you watch guitar building videos. Getting the neck shaped and getting the frets in and getting the neck into the body and so on. In the next video, I'll be getting into finishing the guitar. And I haven't done very much of that. And I certainly haven't done very much painting of guitars, and that's what's going to happen to this one. So, I'll see you soon.